Hi there, and welcome to the Anita Chat podcast. I'm your host, Anita Rombo, and this is the podcast for growth-oriented women to have authentic, real talk. Nothing is off the table here, but as an intuitive self-relationship coach, you'll find the content gravitates towards mindset, intentional action, spirituality, and all things wellness. So if you're ready to learn, laugh, show up, and glow up to be the best version of yourself, grab your favorite bevy, settle in, and we've got lots to chat about. Hello and welcome to another episode of Anita Chat. Happy New Year. I am so excited to be welcoming in a brand new year and also a brand new season of this podcast with you. And if you are tuning in around the time of the episode release, I just wanted to let you know that on Wednesday, January 11th, from 8 to 9 p.m., I'm hosting a 1-hour value-packed free masterclass entitled How to Set Yourself Up for the Ultimate Success in 2023. If you are all gung-ho and all in about making this year, 2023, your year, you definitely need to attend this masterclass. So please sign up. Registration details are in the episode description. And now let's move on to the podcast itself. As you recall, I think it was maybe episode 48 near the end of last year. It was an episode around end of year rituals, and I hosted it with a fellow coach, Trish Rapp, who's also a great friend of mine. And together we shared our end of year rituals with the intention of creating and giving you some inspiration and motivation to incorporate this into your own practice if you haven't already done so, or to tweak or rejig based on any tidbits that really resonated with you in that episode. One of the things that both Trish and I did, but kind of approached in a different way, was use a word to anchor in ourselves as a theme, to set the tone for what it is that we want to create and envision. And of course, at the time of our recording that episode, I personally had not gone through and did my own end of year reflections. And so I want to come back here today to share with you what my reflections were, what my word was, and also what am I going to do to make that word a reality? How am I going to embody that? Because I do think that if you haven't yet come across your word, if you haven't done that practice, this might be a great opportunity. It's never too late. So this is definitely a great opportunity for you to reconsider. And either maybe this episode or that previous episode, which I will link to in the episode description, can be helpful tools to support you in that practice. But also, even if you want to share my word, or even if you want to apply my approaches, you don't even necessarily need to take this word. That is also going to be great. So either way, I think this episode will position us for success and growth in the coming year, 2023, which is our blank slate that's right in front of us. And I really want us to take advantage of that. So before I get into the episode itself, I want to share with you a little backstory behind it. I shared in that previous episode with Trish, which again, I'll link to in the episode description, that I didn't really use the word or a word to anchor in a year per se, but I actually used 3 words to anchor in my decade. So I'm in my 40s. And for me, those 3 words were mindfulness, self-care, and service. So each year I evaluate how I showed up for myself in terms of mindfulness, self-care, and service, and what worked and what didn't work, and what do I want to bring forward. So my intention is to embody those 3 words for this next decade. As I was thinking back to 2022, it was such an incredibly pivotal year for me, like beyond my wildest dreams. And so I felt that in 2023, in addition to those 3 words that I'm using for the decade, 2023 deserved and needed its own word too, especially when it came to my business. Because for me in 2022, one of the things that made it so pivotal was I moved into entrepreneurship, into this world of entrepreneurship, really full-time and rather unplanned and unexpected. Giving birth to my business was the equivalent of giving birth to my children from a personal development and growth perspective. Like there was no amount of learning or preparation that could really explain what I felt like I was kind of experienced. Even having 3 university degrees, even having an MBA, even being in the corporate world, like none of that stuff I felt
prepared me for the world of entrepreneurship. It was just an immense time of growth and discovery. It was a year of throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what stuck. It was a year of trying to figure out what aligns with me, like what my values are as a business owner. It was a year of shiny object syndrome. It was both fun and scary and uncomfortable. And if I'm being honest, I leaned into that energy of fear, of feeling scared, more so than the energy of fun and of joy and discovery and exploration. And I think it was because I was just so hungry for success. I was so hungry to succeed and so hungry to grow and not fail. And I'm wondering, like, can you relate to that feeling of wanting something so very badly? Like just being so hungry for it that you're actually terrified of screwing it up. So I really felt like I was rushing against this imaginary clock, that I needed to prove myself by a certain time. I really felt like there was a lot of sink or swim energy, and I was determined to be the swimmer. I was, just had some very unrealistic expectations because I had no baseline or nothing to really to hang a stake against about what it was that I wanted to create in a year, what was possible as a brand new entrepreneur. I really underestimated the amount of time it takes to learn, the amount of course correction that is required. By all means, I still have not figured it out, but I have figured out how to be a lot more compassionate and much more kinder to myself in this whole process. And I experienced burnout more than I care to admit. And so in the latter half of that year, I felt like my energy shifted. I made a conscious decision to shift that energy in my business, to shift that energy in my life. It was a choice, but it wasn't an easy choice. It didn't always feel very natural. Sometimes it felt really like it went against my natural inclinations to fear, to panic, to worry. But leaning into that choice, leaning into that energy of joy and discovery and exploration, and really taking a lot of that pressure off, felt so much more aligned. It felt so much more positive. And I was definitely able to reap many more rewards and accomplishments. And that is the motivation and where the desire to continue that momentum is coming from for me. So without further ado, my word for 2023 is ease. When I stepped into ease in that latter half of the year, magical things happened to me without even trying, to be honest. Clients found me for coaching and readings, tarot readings or oracle card readings, to just have this floodgates open of people coming to me. It just became so much more easy to have these conversations, to meet with people. I got invited to show up at events and to actually serve clients at these events and showcase myself without necessarily pitching to be a part of these things. I got invited to work on a book by a publishing company. I was already actively writing a book, but now there's another one in the works, and that's definitely going to happen. But it wasn't even a company that I was aware of. It wasn't connections that I made. I got invited to be on other people's podcasts, and that's, again, a trend that I hope to continue. I got featured in a local magazine. That was also nothing that I was expecting to do or nothing that I was seeking out. But my point is, I did not try to look for these opportunities. And when I opened myself up to ease, when I changed my energy, instead of pushing my way through or feeling drained or having this mindset that it was difficult, or establishing yourself as a new business owner is really hard work, which I'm not sugarcoating by any means, but changing that mindset, changing that energy, changing that shift, when I sat back and let it come to me versus chasing it, it was easy, it was fun, it was more natural. And like I said, I moved the needle in my business by leaps and bounds without half of the effort that I maybe thought I would require or would normally have put in. So while I was thinking about how could I continue this momentum and welcome in more ease, I made a connection that literally had me mind blown. And are you ready for it? Maybe you already know this, but anyways, I still, I'm just grappling with this, but the word release has the word ease in it. So maybe we could welcome in ease by releasing the need to control, releasing the need to have things done by a certain timeline, releasing the need for a certain outcome. Maybe it's releasing a belief. Maybe it's releasing a lifestyle. Maybe it's releasing a way of doing things, or even people, toxic people. My point is, I think there's a lot of opportunity to let go, to make things easier. How can we release for ease? I think we can all welcome in opportunities for more ease in our life. And that is how or why I am sharing my backstory, not only to just share with you what's going on in my life and how I myself incorporated these end of year rituals, but where I'm going with this. Where am I going with this? So when I think of ease, and maybe why it hasn't come up thus far in my decade, why it wasn't one of those 3 words, it's a great word. I think I've done a really good job of incorporating ease into all aspects of my life, except my business. And that was the new development that happened last year. And so that's why I felt like it was so important for me to create this word of the year, and to make that specifically ease my word for the year. Because when I jumped in headfirst into this new role and new identity, I didn't give myself the grace to create ease. As I mentioned, I really came into this venture with a lot of sink or swim, kind of panic and fear-based mentality, like just this hungry thirst to do well, but also this fear of failing and maybe not doing well. And that was so pervasive that I let that energy dominate. And I didn't really get my footing until probably the last half of that year. I wasn't able to shift that energy. I wasn't able to kind of feel like, okay, you have an idea of what's happening. Like, you are doing this thing. Like, just chill out a little bit. And so again, that vibe became so much more different. And it continues to be that way. It's not that there's never going to be any fear, because fear is a sign of discomfort. It's a sign of growth. This is a new journey. It is going to make me feel uncomfortable. It is going to push me to grow. So fear is still going to be there, but it's not going to be that dominant energy. It's not going to take over everything. There's also this self-assuredness and this calm that I can figure things out, that I can course correct, that if it might come fast, it might come slow, it doesn't matter. It's going to come. It's coming to me. That self-assuredness and calm is really, I think, what makes things a little bit more joyful and more fun in my business, and also just makes me more successful. So what I learned from my first year in entrepreneurship is that working harder is not working smarter. And I know we've heard that cliche many, many times, but it really showed up in a very profound way for me last year. Working harder does not necessarily lead to results or success. What it does lead to, 100%, is burnout. Like I said, I was there so many times last year, and I'm just not going to put myself remotely close to that position this year. And being successful can feel joyful and can feel easy. It's really a mindset. So you can equate success with hard work, with discipline, and struggle, or you can equate success with joy and ease, and definitely work. It's not going to just miraculously appear, but it's really about that mindset shift. So no matter where you are in your life journey, I do think that there is always an opportunity to welcome more ease into our life, whether it's in one particular area, for me, like business specifically, or across the board. And so here are some questions that I think you can ask yourself to see if there's an opportunity for ease in your life. If, whether all across the board or in a particular area, you can welcome in more ease, I would ask these questions. And then I'm also going to share some strategies to actually implement or embody more ease and to welcome more ease into your life. And I plan on using this myself all throughout this year. And if you guys are interested, drop me a line, and I'm happy to share an update or near the end of the year do a reflection on how well I did and what I've learned. So in the spirit of welcoming ease, I like to keep things simple. Easy equals simple. So here are 2 simple questions that you can ask yourself. And the first question that I would suggest that you ask yourself is, can I make this easier? Can I make this easier? Do I even really need to do this? And at all, period. Sometimes, looking back, I found that when it came to my business, because I didn't really know what to do, I created workflows that were just unnecessarily complicated. And there was, after being proficient and doing it a little bit, you could really think critically about, whether certain things were required, or, what exactly was that missing piece? Like how or what could I do to make things easier? So think about, do you even have to do it? Sometimes we take on things that we don't need to do. Maybe it's historic, it's just the way things have always been done. So look at things critically and say, do I have to do this? And do I have to do it this way? If you have to do it, fine. But is there another easier way to make it happen? Is there some sort of automation? Is there some sort of tool? Is there some sort of, I don't know, just is there another workflow that you can adopt? It doesn't have to be complicated, but does it have to happen, number one? And does it have to happen this way, number two? And three, I would say is, does it have to be done right now? I think so many of us high achieving women can relate that there's so much stuff that we need to do, but sometimes we feel inundated by our list. And if we really just focus our attention on the key things that absolutely have to happen in this minute, I think we'll be surprised to see that our list just shrinks and things seem so much more manageable. So if we're trying to welcome in ease, are we focusing on the right things, right? Do we need to do it? Do we need to do it at all? Do we need to do it this way? And do we need to do it right now? I would ask you those three questions. So can this be easy? Okay. The second thing that I would ask is, does this feel fun? And the reason why I'm going with that is if something doesn't feel fun, what is the energy around it? It feels like you're struggling. It feels like you're resisting. It feels like you're forcing. Is there an opportunity for you to change your approach and maybe find an easier path? So if something feels fun and joyous for you, you're more likely to want to do it. It actually may not even feel like work. It just feels fun. So in terms of can this feel fun, that too could be a mindset shift. Instead of thinking, oh, I have to put out this podcast episode, you can say, I get to put out this podcast episode, right? Instantaneously, that energy changes. That energy becomes one of something that you're looking forward to doing, something that you're welcoming in, something that you're inviting, something that feels fun, right? Because you don't normally welcome in a pap smear, for example, right? That doesn't feel fun. So, what is it that you can do to make this feel more joyous for yourself? And it could be as simple as a mindset shift. And if it doesn't, if that mindset shift doesn't work, if it doesn't come down to feeling like fun, then I encourage you to go back to that first question about, can this be easy? Again, ask yourself, like, do you have to do this? Do you have to do this? And do you have to do it this way? Can there be a way that you can incorporate that makes things a little bit more fun? If through these questions and your own self-reflection, you have identified an opportunity to welcome in ease, here are 5 strategies that will help you implement them. And they all conveniently start with S. That wasn't planned. So the first is saying no, right? Nothing says releasing for ease more than saying no. So the expectations that we place on ourselves or that others place on us can really help us get in the way of welcoming ease. Ask yourself if that expectation is helping you get to your desired goal or if it's taking you away from it. For example, I was recently asked by a friend to sit in on the parent-teacher council or whatever for my kid's school. And that's a cause that I feel really deeply about. But I also had to be realistic with respect to my bandwidth and what my ultimate goals are for 2023. And so, it just wasn't the right time. And so I said no. In the next few weeks, I've also made the decision to formally say no to something else that I put my hand up to do. And to be honest, like from day one, the energy has felt really resistant, or like I'm forcing myself to do this because I think I should, because I care about it. And so I think that because I care about it, I should show up. But really, it doesn't fit for me right now. So saying no doesn't necessarily mean that you don't care or that you're saying no forever. It just means that it doesn't align to where you are right now. So really take stock of where you are right now in your season. Okay. The second strategy or S word that I want to share with you is schedule. We've all heard of this famous cliche that if you plan to fail, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And as you know, our energy and our time is finite. It's in short, limited supply. So we really, by creating a schedule that helps you align both energetically and also from a time perspective to creating space for those things that you really want to accomplish, whatever it is that you're prioritizing. Now, for most of us, creating a schedule is the easy part. In fact, it's really easy to throw something on the calendar and say, this is how I'm going to make it happen. What makes the schedule tricky is actually implementing it, is actually sticking to that schedule day in and day out. So welcome in ease by staying focused and creating a schedule that works the best for you in your season, and don't inundate that schedule. Instead, the third strategy that I really want to share with you in terms of welcoming in ease is simplify. I talked about shiny object syndrome earlier in this episode, and I mean, I definitely was tempted with that in 2022, and I personally think that that's going to be a hard one for me to rein in 2023, but less is absolutely more. Like, think about, do you really need to do all of the things right now? And I think the key word is right now, right? Like, really to respect your season, which is another thing that I'm going to get to a little bit later, but do we really need to do all the things right now? Like, can we just make a concerted effort to double down on a few things and really go all in on those things to help move the needle both in the short term and long term? So from a short term perspective, that could involve you waking up every day and just identifying the top 2 or 3 things that absolutely need to happen today to make today a success. And those 2 or 3 things are going to support those longer term goals. And if you can make it past those 3 things, everything else that you do is icing on the cake. But those, can we simplify by just saying, today I'm going to make it a point to just accomplish these 2 or 3 things, and here's the schedule that is going to happen to help get me there. And during that time, I'm going to be as distraction free as possible. Is that a possibility? In the longer term, it could also involve you reevaluating your priorities. So for example, in 2022, I paused writing my book for a good chunk of the year. I just realized there was way too much happening, and I wasn't really able to put in the time, effort, and energy that I needed to that project. And so it doesn't negate the importance of it, doesn't negate the value of it. It's just acknowledging that it wasn't the right season for the book to come out. And so just understanding that and readjusting my timelines and pausing on that venture for now was a longer term strategy to simplify. So really getting clear on what it is that you want to prioritize and making it a short, manageable amount of initiatives. Don't put everything under the sun and moon, and then creating a schedule to help accomplish that. So when it comes to simplifying, I think a key element to that is taking a look at habits and routines and automations and systems. And systems could be all of those things. Habits count as systems, automations or technological workarounds also work as systems. But how could you create simplicity or ease through adopting systems? So for example, I mentioned that in general, I do a pretty good job of welcoming in ease in all aspects of my life, except for my business, which is why it's my new word. But what that looks like for me in my house is on the weekend, I create a meal plan for the coming week. There's nothing more that I hate than going through a busy work day and then finishing your day and being hungry or hangry and then not knowing what to feed yourself or your family or not having all the ingredients on hand. So I want to know exactly what we're eating on the weekend. I create a meal plan based on that. And then I order my groceries online so that, again, I'm not wasting an hour searching the shelves. I know exactly what I want. It's coming off kind of a pretty structured list, and it's literally 5 minutes and I'm in and out with my groceries. That to me is a system that works in our house. If you are working, perhaps figuring out what you're wearing the day before you go to work helps save you time in the morning than just looking in your closet and feeling really overwhelmed. If you're taking on a new workout routine, perhaps getting your water bottle filled out, getting your playlist all ready to go, or even getting your coffee maker ready so that it comes on automatically when your alarm goes off in the morning. These are all things that you can do to create systems or ease into your life so that you're not thinking about what it is that you're wearing to work, what it is that you're wearing to work out or what you're going to listen to, what it is that you're eating for dinner. So think about those kinds of things. So when it came to my business in particular, how I've decided to welcome in ease is I did this exercise where I really put just pen to paper and I put all aspects of my business from tip to tail on this piece of paper. And I talked or I journaled about what ease feels like when I'm embodying ease in these elements, what it feels like when I'm not, and any possible solution. I just like brain dumped any possible solution that I could do, any kind of step that I could take to make it more easy. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a step that I'm going to follow. For example, I could hire a team member. Well, maybe that's not the right season for me. So, yeah, that would be a lot easier to give the job to somebody, but that's an option, but not for me at this point. So anyways, I made this huge list covering everything from content management, administrative tasks, client-facing work, podcasting, book writing, all of that. Like, how can I make that easy for me? How can I be successful in doing it? Because it feels easy, it feels joyous. And I identified a handful of things within each category that I could implement right away. And already, to be honest, in the span of a week or a weekend, I've already changed some workflows around. Like, I haven't wasted any time. I've already cut out some things completely and simplified considerably. And I'm already reaping the benefits of it. I already feel so much more balanced in my head and in my calendar. And that brings me to the fourth S, which is seasons. So we did talk about releasing for ease, and releasing for ease means releasing the need to be on all the time, recognizing, like the seasons, there are seasons where we're out there, like in the summertime, and there's seasons where we're hibernate and we're more internal and slow down a little bit, like the wintertime. So we're not meant to be on all the time, really coming to terms with the fact that, initially, again, while I was in this energy of fear and letting that dictate and drive the show, really coming to terms with the fact that my worth, my value, my success is not determined by my productivity, and it is not reasonable or feasible to expect that I would be on all the time. In 2022, I worked 24/7. And in 2023, I have implemented seasons. So right away, I have at least 4 weeks of vacation booked into my year. I know when that is. If I need more time, I will definitely do it. I am the CEO. I get to control what I'm taking on. I get to control my own timelines. And I'm not going to feel afraid to use that power to support my growth and my health this year. I've also implemented, for example, a strict computer shutdown policy after 6. I'm not on there after 6. And I can again tell you already, it's been a week into the new year. And it's been a bit of an adjustment. At first, I felt really guilty and felt really weird. Like, I should be working. Why am I not working? What's going on? But I've already found more time for self-care, for rest, for my family, for my hobbies. And when I'm on, I find that it's just brought this next level, like, energy into my work hours when I am working. So think about, for yourself, if you've created space to slow down in your life, and if it's the right season to take on some of the things that you wanted to take on, it's okay to acknowledge that this is not your season, if that is the case. I think that's a really hard thing for some high achievers to accomplish. And last but not least, the last S that I want to leave you with to help welcome in ease is support. You don't have to do it all alone. And I know, as a solopreneur going at it for the first time, I didn't also get that memo. It's so important to acknowledge that there's no badge of honor in doing something all alone. There is so much help, and whether it be in momming, whether it be bossing up at work, whether it be being the CEO of your own empire, ask for help. There's always opportunities to outsource and to delegate or to lean on your support system. Acknowledging when you need support and asking for support is such a measure of growth and reflection and awareness. So really, really encourage you to welcome in ease through accepting support as it feels right to you. So there you have it, friends, an honest reflection of my 22 year in business, my first year in business, my word for 2023, and how I am making it happen this year by saying no, by simplifying, by implementing a schedule, by embracing my season, by relying on systems and leveraging systems, and of course, relying on my support network. I'd love to hear from you what part of life you're looking to bring more ease in. So definitely shoot me a DM on Instagram at Anita Rambo, or send me an email. I want to know what you're looking to create ease in this year and how you are planning to do it. I want you to share 2 tangible things as your accountability partner and coach. Please let me know. And with that, friends, I will see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Anita Chat podcast. If you haven't taken a minute to leave a review, I would absolutely love to hear from you. All you need to do is to search for the show, click your star rating, and type in a few words. Also, if there's a specific topic you'd like to see covered in this podcast, if you'd like me to be your coach, or if you want to just chat, feel free to send me an email or shoot me a message through my IG, which you'll find in the show notes. The show notes will also contain any links to the freebies that were referenced in this episode. Until next time, friends, it's been great chatting with you.